Absolutely. Yes, I still have family in Rio and in São Paulo, and I spent a lot of time in Rio and at the National Archives and Guanabara Bay, where there's a really important scene with my grandfather at the end of the series.
Hi, Georgia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine, and you?
Well, thank you.
Such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for your time and amazing book, amazing series. So thank you for sharing that with the world. So how do you feel about having your book, your own story, let's say, on this just adapted to the screen?
Oh, it's been a very moving experience. And, up until not too long ago, a very personal experience for me. I set out in 2008 to record my family history. The story follows my grandfather and his siblings scattering across the globe at the start of the Second World War. And I kept it very, very close for a very long time, and then let it go to the world in the form of a book. And so this next step of bringing it to life on the screen has been very emotional. In a way, it's seeing it visually has brought me closer to the story in a way. Our phenomenal cast and our sets and the score, and it all has come together in a way that really has me stepping back in time again and reliving it all over again, and to a degree that's even feels even more relevant than it did when I put it to paper. So I'm very overwhelmed. It's surreal and exciting, and most of all, I'm just really proud of what we've made.
During your research, I think everything was a surprise for you, but what was the thing that most surprised you about your family?
Oh, I think it's the scope of their story. They traveled so far and wide in an effort to survive. I remember going into my research and thinking that I'd have my grandfather's storyline, which he was the one sibling living in France and made his way to South America, and that the other siblings, I would have a storyline that took place in Poland. But I immediately learned, as I set out on my interviews, that family in Poland scattered as well to the far reaches of Siberia, to and my grandfather's route through Africa, Italy. And so I think that was one of the biggest surprises, not just the numbers who survived, but how far and wide they scattered in order to do so.
Yeah, did you go to the different countries? I'm
I
curious because I'm from Brazil. So did you go
Oh,
to
nice.
Rio?
Absolutely. Yes, I still have family in Rio and in São Paulo, and I spent a lot of time in Rio and at the National Archives and Guanabara Bay, where there's a really important scene with my grandfather at the end of the series. Several of his nephews live there, and yeah, absolutely. I did not make it to Siberia, but I traveled all through Eastern Europe, down through Italy, and to Brazil, interviewing relatives and kind of following in the family's footsteps in order to absorb as much as I could of what it would have felt like to be there at the time.
Yeah, what was the reaction of the family when you told them, I'm writing a book and now it's going to be adapted?
Well, of course, I needed their, support and permission to even write the book from the get-go. And I remember writing an email to all of them saying, hey, this is something I think I'd like to do. And I was met with a just resounding thank you. Yes, do this. Someone needs to write it down. No one had raised their hand yet. I think we all kind of knew we had a special story to tell. And I think they were so grateful when I said I'll be the person to try to tell it. And I spent so many hours and hours and hours in their homes and by phone and later Zoom interviewing and asking questions. And I did it all over again for the series when more questions came up, when I didn't have an answer, and I'd get back to the cast or the crew or the directors with an answer. So they've been so supportive, and they're so excited for all that's to come.
That's amazing. Georgia, I just want to thank you so much for your time. A pleasure to meet you. And you're a very courageous girl to tell this story about your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like to support or continue to support Jana on Camera, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share the videos.